Daniel Kathalynas. Let me take you on a trip to discover art, culture, and people with passion in The Roaming Artist. Welcome to the world-famous Cowgirl restaurant here in Santa Fe, where you can get some delicious green chili cheese fries.
And burgers.
And burgers and everything to toot your whistle. San Miguel Church, the oldest church structure in the United States, created in 1610. I think the only thing that might outlast that or come close is San Xavier del Bac, which is in Tucson, but the structure was actually burnt down. So this one is still existing and still around for us to see. Just about 20 minutes outside of City Center, get a chance to walk the Riparian Trail of Little Tasuki Creek Trail. And a riparian environment means that it is water-sustaining, life-sustaining area that is really good in the desert zones. It allows other trees to grow and wildlife to flourish. Look how green this is here. I wonder if this is a native snapdragon. Wow, this is just super colorful. I love it. Paintings without painting, the natural life of the lichen and the strata of the stone is absolutely wonderful. The texture, the color, the presence of this rock, I really want to input that in some of my work. Great views from up here. Wonderful. There he is. I'm here with my friend Aaron Levittman from Santa Fe. And
Yes.
He's such an adventurer, doing a lot of things with film and playwright, right?
Yes, playwright, virtual theater, live theater, you name it. Acting, writing, marketing, producing.
It's amazing.
One-man show sometimes. I started off with the Santa Fe Film Festival actually probably about 17 years ago. Right when I moved from Cape Cod, I saw that they were looking for volunteers, and I always loved film festivals. I used to go to them regularly when I lived in Boston and then New York. And so I volunteered, and I sort of fell into this great group of people that were working there at the time, and was the volunteer coordinator there for, I think, for one or two festivals, 2 consecutive years. And then over the years, I kind of fell out of touch with them. And then when it's actually great that we're here at the Jean Cocteau Cinema, because how I got re-involved with them again was that this theater was bought by George R.R. Martin, and I applied to be their programmer. And they said, well, we're not really looking for a programmer, but the Santa Fe Film Festival is, and they do screenings here. So I got in touch with the board of directors there, and they hired me to be the head of programming. And so I did it for 6 years. I've been writing plays pretty much my whole life since high school. I've been involved in theater my whole life as an actor. And I've been, having primarily one-act plays produced at different festivals around the country. And I would say within the last few years, I've had a lot more success with it, and I've gotten into a lot more prestigious festivals. So I just had something published in London by a publishing company called Smith Scripps in the UK. And the last year, I produced a virtual theater program called for my company, Almost Adults Productions. And we produced LGBTQ themed short plays on Zoom. Beautiful. And we involved audiences and talent from all over the world because it was virtual. There's no limit, so it's great.
So your creativity
Yes.
and what you write about, I'm
Yes.
very excited to hear what's under the hood for Aaron and what gets you juiced up to write the next play.
Oh, that's such a complicated question. Sometimes I'm never sure. Like when I write a play, and especially if it comes out very quickly, I never quite know why this particular subject enabled me to write a certain play over something else that I might think is interesting and not actually write. A lot of times it's people I meet. Like I'll meet somebody that I think is really interesting. I'll give you an example. The last play I wrote was about an exterminator, and unfortunately we had a need for an exterminator at our house a couple of years ago. And this guy that came he was just this interesting guy, and he would keep like following up with us, and I just became intrigued by him and wrote a play about him. For reasons I'm not really clear.
An exterminator.
I knew something about his life, because he was kind of a talker, and then I, invented a lot of things and created a relationship, between him and the main character whose home he was coming to exterminate. And so it, I think what else I'm interested in is sort of writing about characters that don't normally get addressed in theater, more marginalized characters that I don't see a lot of representation from.
And here in the back of the theater is the George R. Martin dragon popping out of the side of the building. Look at that. Interesting. I'm here at the beautiful Cathedral Basilica of St. Francis Assisi. It's a Roman Catholic church. It's just steps away from the plaza here in Santa Fe. It was built in the 1800s, and it's on a much larger site of an original church built in the 1600s. Just about a week and a half ago, I was at the Getty Museum in LA, and I had a great opportunity to sit there with my friend Diana Openkaryu, another artist, and examine the cathedral painting that's there by Monet. Now, Claude Monet had a series of wonderful cathedral paintings, which he started outside. He started looking at the cathedral. He was doing sometimes inside hotel room and outside, and he was taking a good observation of what the cathedral looked like. Then, for many months, he worked in the studio afterward to try to regain some of the feeling that he remembered there. And that's what I'm working with here, is taking this cathedral and having a lot of fun with it, taking it in, examining what I'm seeing, and changing it up a bit, almost in a neo-expressionist way. Meaning that neo, intensified color, expressionist, from the inside out, making the forms, the shapes, coming out of me as I'm looking at the subject matter that I'm looking at. And I'm working with complementary colors. So I'm doing color opposition. In other words, I take the opposite of the color wheel. If I see a light blue sky, I'm going to go in with some orange and some dark reds, and I'm going to make the contrast on the painting. So that way I'll have an interesting subsurface in which to vibrate the colors from. Fauvist colors. You know what I mean by Fauvist? The French term fauvism meant wild beasts. These were painters like Matisse and others that had worked in high-cued, really intense colors. And that's what I'm working with here, just enjoying the ability to get the emotional color on the canvas, not necessarily the representational color, but the way it feels. I like to think of it as emotional exploration, what it is to have the emotional landscape. So I take in what I'm seeing, and then the important part is, what am I doing with what I'm seeing as an artist? That is the pleasure of painting. It's not so much about what color I'm applying in the realistic format of the imagery I'm creating, but it is in how the colors react to each other, how the layering of one color on top of another pushes and pulls each other away or apart or right to each other like magnets. This is some of the basics of color theory, and working in complementary colors, you will see that the yellow is also juxtaposed with the purples, and they push and pull each other and allow the colors in a relationship to vibrate. enjoyed this video, hit the like button and let YouTube know that this is quality for you. Also, feel free to join as a subscriber to my YouTube channel. It's free. You just got to press a button and you're on. You'll get all the updates of The Roaming Artist. But if you really want to become part of the art, join me at Patreon. It would be patreon.com/Daniel Kathalynas. That'll bring you right there where you can take a look at all the artist perks that we share together as a team to help make these videos and other artwork happen. I hope you have a great day. Remember, art is part of the heart.